Jake was a young boy who lived in a small town. He loved playing outside, exploring the woods, and riding his bike. Every day after school, Jake would rush home, drop his backpack, and run outside to start his adventures. One sunny afternoon, as Jake was riding his bike down a quiet path, he heard a soft whimpering sound. He stopped and looked around, trying to find where the sound was coming from. After a few moments, he saw a small puppy hiding under a bush. "Hey there, little guy," Jake said softly, kneeling down to get a better look. The puppy had big, sad eyes and was trembling. Jake's heart melted. "Are you lost?" Jake gently reached out his hand, and the puppy sniffed it cautiously. Then, the puppy licked his hand and wagged its tail. Jake smiled. "It's okay, buddy. I'll help you." Jake looked around, hoping to find the puppy's owner, but no one was in sight. He decided to take the puppy home. Carefully, he picked up the little dog and placed it in his bike basket. "Let's go to my house. We'll find your family." When Jake got home, his mom was in the kitchen. "Mom, look what I found," Jake said, bringing the puppy inside. His mom turned around and gasped, "Oh my, what a cute puppy. Where did you find him?" "He was all alone in the woods," Jake explained. "Can we keep him until we find his owner?" Jake's mom thought for a moment. "All right, but we need to take good care of him. Let's make some posters to help find his family." Jake and his mom made posters with a picture of the puppy and their phone number. They put the posters up around town, hoping someone would recognize the little dog. Meanwhile, Jake named the puppy Max and took care of him. He fed him, gave him water, and played with him every day. A week went by, but no one called about Max. Jake and his mom took Max to the vet to see if he had a microchip, but he didn't. Jake began to hope that maybe, just maybe, they could keep Max. One evening, as Jake and his mom were walking Max in the park, they met an old man sitting on a bench. The man looked at Max and his eyes filled with tears. "Max, is that you?" Jake's heart sank. "Do you know this puppy?" The old man nodded. "Yes, he's my dog. He ran away when I left the gate open by accident. I've been looking for him everywhere." Jake felt a mix of emotions. He was happy that Max had found his owner, but also sad to say goodbye. "We took good care of him," Jake said. The old man smiled warmly. "Thank you so much. You've been very kind." Jake knelt down and hugged Max. "I'll miss you, buddy." The old man saw Jake's sadness and said, "You know, Max and I live alone. I could use some help taking care of him. Would you like to visit us and play with Max whenever you want?" Jake's face lit up. "Really? I'd love that." From that day on, Jake visited the old man and Max every week. They became great friends. The old man, whose name was Mr. Wilson, shared stories about his life, and Jake loved listening to them. In return, Jake helped Mr. Wilson with little chores around the house. One day, Mr. Wilson showed Jake a photo album. "These are pictures of Max when he was a puppy," he said, pointing to a picture. "And this is my wife. She passed away a few years ago." Jake listened quietly. He felt sad for Mr. Wilson, but also grateful to be part of his life now. "I'm glad Max found you," Jake said softly. Mr. Wilson smiled. "Me too, Jake. And I'm glad we found each other." As time went on, Jake and Mr. Wilson's bond grew stronger. They would take Max on long walks, have picnics in the park, and even celebrate holidays together. Jake learned a lot from Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Wilson enjoyed the company and youthful energy Jake brought into his life. One summer, Mr. Wilson and Jake decided to build a doghouse for Max. They spent weeks gathering materials and working on it in Mr. Wilson's backyard. It was a fun project that brought them even closer. When they finished, Max seemed to love his new home, wagging his tail and running in and out of the doghouse. "Great job, Jake," Mr. Wilson said, patting Jake on the back. "You have a real talent for building things." Jake beamed with pride. "Thanks, Mr. Wilson. I couldn't have done it without you." Years passed, and Jake grew up. He continued to visit Mr. Wilson and Max, even as he got busier with school and other activities. Their friendship remained strong, and they created many more memories together. One day, when Jake was in high school, he received a call from Mr. Wilson. "Jake, I need to tell you something," Mr. Wilson said, his voice shaky. "I'm moving to live with my daughter in another state. She's worried about me living alone." Jake felt a lump in his throat. "Will you take Max with you?" "Of course," Mr. Wilson replied. "But I want you to know that you are always welcome to visit us. You've been like family to me." Jake nodded, though Mr. Wilson couldn't see him. "I'll miss you both," he said. "We'll miss you too, Jake," Mr. Wilson said. "Thank you for everything." Jake went to see Mr. Wilson and Max one last time before they moved. They had a small farewell party, reminiscing about all the good times they had shared. It was a bittersweet moment, but Jake knew that Mr. Wilson and Max would be well taken care of. As he waved goodbye to the moving truck, Jake felt a sense of gratitude. He had gained a lifelong friend and had learned valuable lessons about kindness, friendship, and love. He knew that no matter where life took him, the memories of his adventures with Mr. Wilson and Max would stay with him forever.